According to Mass Statistics, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, in 2010, 211 children were killed in drunk driving crashes. Out of those 211 deaths, 131, 62%, were riding with the drunk driver. Usually when people think of drunk driving, they vision someone who is just swerving across the road. Drunk or impaired driving has become a nationwide problem and is a leading cause in deaths per year. If that isn't compelling enough to stop this crime, listen to what Alcohol Alert has recently stated. The ratio of alcohol-related deaths compared to the total number of fatalities for the year makes up 38% of the toll. Drunk driving and even driving under the influence can be put under the same dangerous category. Drunk driving is a serious problem that we as a nation haven't found an answer to yet. There are many possible solutions that have been suggested, but I'm choosing to support the policy of increasing our power in our government system to offenders. The ways that we would be most effective is to increase police checkpoints out on the roads, install ignition interlock devices in an offender's car, and increasing ad campaigns to spread awareness. Accidents are fourth on the fatality list each year. A large amount of those accidents are due to drinking and driving. Sobriety checkpoints are a proven way to get drunk drivers off the road and scare them not to drive. More alcohol-related accidents are prevented each year when the funding for these checkpoints is on the rise. For police forces, they are expensive and rely on the state to cover most of the expenses. Although some states prohibit them due to constitutions, the increasing need for these stop points is starting to become an issue. The community is behind the idea of increased sobriety checkpoints, but local and state governments have to be on the same page. These checkpoints aren't just for testing driver sobriety. They have also helped with criminalizing people for other crimes. Sobriety checkpoints increase a community safety and keep intoxicated drivers off the streets. The installation of ignition interlock devices is my personal favorite. Ignition interlock devices are installed in cars, and to start the car, you must blow into the device and wait for it to register your BAC, which is your blood alcohol content level. The installation of these devices is implemented for the first-time offenders in 17 states. I know that Indiana is one of them because my buddy had to get one installed in his car. The device requires a steady breath of air into the tube and uses a hum tone to let the drivers know how hard to blow. The device also has random running retests to ensure that the driver isn't drinking while driving. Over 7,000 lives could be saved each year if no one drove with a BAC over .08, according to the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. A new law has passed that if a state convicts a person of DWI and then the use of interlock device for that person, the state will receive extra funding. The paying and upkeep of this device is paid by the driver, which is more incentive to have good behavior. The alternative to this device would most likely be having a license suspended, which can create many issues with work or school. Ignition interlock devices can save countless lives and protect our common interests of distancing our abilities from drunk driving. Most people have seen or heard commercials about drunk driving in their lifetime, but it seems few people listen with the number of fatalities that we have each year. If the government were to increase its spending on commercial ads, it would spread awareness. Mass media campaigns have always been effective, but I hardly see ads or commercials these days. I see more seatbelt ads or statements than anything. Not saying that seatbelts aren't important, but seatbelts don't pose a safety threat to other drivers like drinking and driving does. I believe that the mass media campaigns have to start locally with increasing the public awareness of law enforcement activities and the consequences of drinking and driving. Not only legal consequences, but also the moral consequences that take effect once a person has been convicted. People need to be reminded sometimes of how their actions can affect them in the future. Another focus the campaign should target is the health and social consequences of drunk driving. We've discussed in detail the health consequences that amount from drunk driving, but once people find out, they may look at you differently. If God forbid someone were to die, I doubt they would want to be remembered as a drunk driver who killed himself or herself. A cost-benefit analysis was conducted of the two campaign subjects, and the benefits exceeded the cost by 8 to 21. If the government were to increase paid advertising and increase the public's knowledge, the nation would have less drunk driving accidents and fatalities. To see a decrease in the number of fatalities due to drunk driving is going to take government spending and community knowledge. To give you some last percentages, I went to MAD's website and created a bar line graph of some of their facts in 2010. My first graph is the percentage of age population driving under the influence. The highest percent being the newly legal drivers at 21 through 25 is 23%, followed by ages 18 through 20 who are just above 15%. My other graph shows the percent of fatal crashes by age population. Majority of fatal crashes by age population is the 21 to 24-year-olds, who are nearly at 35%. Ages 25 through 34 are at 30%, followed by ages 35 to 44 at 25%. Each of these graphs shows that each age class nearest the legal drinking age makes up most of the population of incidents and fatalities due to drunk driving. There's no definite reason for why this is, but I personally think it's because of lack of knowledge. The use of these three techniques, sobriety checkpoints, ignition interlock systems, and mass media, can be used in aiding the devastation of drunk driving. Sobriety checkpoints help take drunk drivers off the road and keep them off. Increased government spending on checkpoints will keep the roads safer at night. The use of installation of ignition interlocked will decrease the number of repeat offenders and help in aiding people into getting out of the habit of driving while intoxicated. If all states participated in issuing this device, thousands of lives could be saved. Increasing commercial campaigns can increase awareness and knowledge of the consequences associated with drunk driving. Drunk driving is a leading cause of fatalities in our nation that can be cut dramatically by an increase in each of these three subpoints. I will finish with a quote from the great Dean Martin. "If you drink, don't drive, don't even putt."